Following the success of art piece number 789, we've got a Mallee burr here. York Mallee burr, Australian, expensive by weight, beautiful. Lovely little thing, lovely spikes on the outside. I'm going to try and keep most of that in the piece. With a chuck grip in the bottom to then be mounted hovering. I'll come to that later. The cave on this end, some columns in front, be it 2 or maybe 6. Got a bit of bog oak here, 5,000-year-old piece of wood with an Australian Mallee burr, and a bit of rippled maple for the columns. Let's get cracking. Stop. Too small. Done my measurements. I flattened this off. Beautiful grain in that, if you can see that yet. I measured this up. Not big enough for the end here. What I want is the edge of the round, just inside the edge here, for it to come up and oval like that, still within the boundary of the Mallee burr. So this doesn't quite work where it lands at the bottom. Not quite. It's too wide here. So I happen to have another bit of bog oak laying around the shop. I need to check the moisture content because that feels quite weighty. It could just be dense wood, but it could be that it's a little bit too moist. So where's my moisture meter? I'm going to do this on the floor. It just makes cleaning up a lot easier. It's not on the workbench. I have to use my last piece of American rippled maple. Slightly darker, but it should still look quite nice. I don't want a chuck grip on this side because that's going to be the back of the piece and it's going to be up in the air. And with these cracks, if I glue a block of wood on there, the glue is going to seep into the cracks. And then when I take the block of wood off, I've got to refinish this by hand anyway. Lots of glue up here, lots of glue over here, lots of glue over here, but try and avoid this crack. So a very thin layer of glue, clamp it on well. Hopefully the glue won't splurge too much up into the cracks. Bit of old scaffold board, going to sand that flat. Thin layer of glue on the non-cracked areas. Squidge that down. Going to be a bit dodgy because of the amount of cracks through the back of the wood that you saw when I was turning the back of it. I need to make the bowl with very straight sides down the side because I'm going to be putting it on the belt sander and taking it off so there's a big gap in the side of the bowl, which is going to be the bottom of the cave, the walkway into the cave. It's too thin on the base to risk knocking this off without breaking the bog oak. So I'm going to have to sand the whole thing off. I would plane it, but I really don't want to be holding onto that thin edge while I'm planing. So I'm just going to sand the whole lot off. This is very soft wood. Shouldn't take too long at all. Right, stop that just in time. So need to clean up that bottom edge. That's starting to look like I want it. Sanded to 400 grit. Did a little bit more sanding after the sander sealer's soaked in and dried. Look at the difference. Try not to get too much over the edge. That is going to wax up beautifully. Right, give that 10-15 minutes to dry. 10-15 minutes later, feels nice and dry, looks nice and dry. I'm going to run over it with 600. Just looking for any clumps of sander sealer. And a quick 1000 Renaissance microcrystalline wax. Freshens colours, imparts soft sheen. That's what we want. Impart a soft sheen. Smells lovely. Nice even coat of that around. Polish off straight away with a rag. Like marble. Going to waste a lot of wood here because they only need to be virtually pencil thick with a couple of knobs on the end, but it's a really nice wood that I really want to use for the columns. I'm going to rough it down. Now I just need to glue the bog oak bowl to the Mallee burr and glue my little stems on. Now that choice between the glass stem and the stainless steel stem. I made this construction because I needed to glue the glass rod into the Mallee burr. I didn't want the glue running down the thing because I'd already glued the rod into the base. So the glass on the bottom there is because it's a glass rod and the hole's coming all the way through. The UV reactive glue that I've used is specifically meant for glass. So I've drilled the hole, glued the glass on the bottom, left it in the sun, it's gone off lovely and hard. Turned it over, put the glass rod in with a load of the UV glue and propped it up, left it in the sunlight, and then I had to glue the Mallee burr onto the glass rod. Now, got to get it down. Okay, bear with. Right, let's get all this put away, then I'll show you the finished piece. Woohoo! Does almost look like it's floating. That glass rod. Got some glue to clean off of the glass rod. Hopefully that's glue and not cracks. Yeah, it's definitely glue. Lovely. Well, there you go. All cleaned up. Mallee burr, bog oak, rippled maple, 24 karat gold on a glass stem. Last thing to do is put the box on, then pack it for transport. Need to clean the box, obviously. Box is a bit dusty, but you get the idea. In the right house, that looked lovely.